how much do you need to earn in order to purchase a home in Coppell, Texas? That is the question that we are going to address today. Now, I want to make sure that the audio is working just fine, so 1 second. Again, the salary necessary to purchase a home in Coppell, Texas is actually one of my favorite cities in the Metroplex and pretty much anywhere at this point. So this is going to be a fun one for me. This is one that I have close ties with. This is one that my church is there. There's just so much goodness going on. So let's get into it. How much do you need to earn in order to purchase a home in Coppell, Texas? We're going to get into real estate prices in Coppell. We're going to talk about property taxes in Coppell, which is very significant. Trust me that we understand what property taxes are doing in Coppell, because it impacts you today. It'll impact you a year from now, 10 years from now. For as long as you own a property in Coppell, it's something that you're going to need to deal with. So we're going to get into that. Today, we're going to talk about HOAs. We're going to talk about everything in between. But the most important thing that we're going to address is how much do you need to earn to buy a home in Coppell. So let's dig into that right now. All right, so like all of our other breakdowns, we like to get started with the Altos research data, which is essentially real-time data that speaks directly to what's happening in the real estate market right now, specifically in Coppell. So it gives you a good indicator, just gives you a very broad stroke number on, hey, is this a seller's market right now or is it a buyer's market, specifically in Coppell? So what you're going to notice is a trend, regardless of where the market is, whether it's in general a strong market or a seller's market. You're going to notice a trend with some specific cities. So here you see that Coppell is having a very strong seller's market. It doesn't surprise me because a lot of people want to be in Coppell for a multitude of reasons. The incredible real estate, the incredible schools, the incredible community feel. I have a full breakdown on Coppell altogether that goes into this in depth. So you're going to want to check that video out. But overall, it gives you a good market index of what's happening, a really good snapshot of what's happening in the market in Coppell, and then some real life data along with more real life data down below to give you an idea of what the market has been doing from a general price perspective. The reason that we are in this particular website, the reason that we're here in this particular website though, is because of the market segments. I really like the way that it breaks down. It really breaks down what's happening right now in the market in specific price points. So here you're going to see the amount of, it breaks it down into 4 quadrants, basically. The higher price quadrant. So here you don't see as many, you're not going to necessarily see as many new homes in this particular price range, but it gives you that price range on the top end. It gives you the second quadrant, the third quadrant, and the fourth quadrant. So it gives you a good understanding of a house relation to the asking price. So as an example, if you're looking for a 3-bed and 2-bath, well, on average, you can expect to pay about $483,000 on average in this current market right now. So this is, again, real-time information, and it really breaks it down based off of the property, or it gives you a good average of what the properties are doing. So while you might not have a really firm grasp of what the real estate prices are in any market, that's completely okay. You can come to a website like this, which is absolutely free to use. Just go to altos.re and then see if you have a desire to go into Coppell and you have a need for a 4-bed and 3-bath. Well, here, Coppell, you're looking at about $676,000 on average is what that's going to cost you. So it gives you a really good basic understanding and just a good overview of hey, maybe Coppell's not for me because that's not within my budget, right? So it gives you a really good cursory glance of if this is even a viable option for you, and then consequently you go up and it's something that you're going to see. So for our purposes today, what we're going to do is, since most of you that call us and are looking to move not just to Coppell but anywhere in the DFW Metroplex and across the state, and since we're in all the markets at this point across the country, most of you are asking for 4 beds minimum and 2.5 baths minimum. So what we're going to do is we're going to pretend in this particular example, as we walk through every single number, that you're looking for a 4-bed and 3-bath, and you have that necessity. So we're gonna meet this $676,000 price point. So we could go down here. So as again, our goal here is to share how much you need to earn in order to purchase a home in Coppell. The number that we're going to arrive at today is going to be a little bit higher, because we're actually going to shoot a little bit higher because this is primarily the need that we have. So you can adjust accordingly. So all of the information that you're going to see today in terms of the tools that we have are linked down below. So make sure you get that calculator that we're about to go through. But before we get into that, let's see what type of real estate we're even talking about. Because right now, a huge number like that might become hard to understand. It might be hard to digest. It is for me in many respects, because that number one is a little bit larger than you might be used to seeing. But beyond that, real estate in different areas, let me rephrase that. Real estate looks different in different areas. So it's good to have a good visual of what we're even talking about, because you might be moving into Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and might not have as much exposure to the area as you might want. So that's probably one of the big reasons that you're watching this video. All right, so for our purposes today, we're just going to keep it at 600,000. Actually, you know what? We're going to cap it. We're going to cap it just to give you, we're going to say the max. So again, remember we're here trying to hit 676,000. So I'm going to show you all of the inventory right now that's available at this present time in Coppell, with the max budget of $700,000. So here you're going to see everything priced below and up. So here you have that $475,000 price point, which is right here just below the average on the lower quadrant that we've been talking about. So here, let me move myself out of the way real quick. And I'm going to zoom in so you see what I'm talking about. We're going to spend about 10 seconds here. I just want you to see a very quick visual glance of the real estate that we're talking about, because it gives you a good understanding of the type of home that's available at this present time in Coppell. So here for about $500,000, you're looking at 1,800 square foot, 1,800 square foot, 1,700 square foot, 1,900 square foot. Gives you a good idea of what we're talking about. And then the average price point that we're shooting for is right around here, right? Okay, so there's not as many listings, but that's understandable. Coppell itself is not a big city, so you don't expect there to be a ton of listings specifically at this price point, because we're here on the lower end. Now, if we had gone up to $1 million, we would have access to a bulk of the inventory at that time, but we did not do that, which is something that you can do at your own time. That's something that is going to be better done through the apps that you use, or you can also use the website that we just went through, which is my personal website. It is linked down below, jaimeresendez.exprealty.com. All right, so let's dig into this. We have to get to our Coppell number, and our Coppell number is this where am I getting that from? $676,000. Now, I'm going to X out of this so we can get focused and stay focused on this particular sheet. We're going to go through several scenarios. We're going to break down, first we're going to build our scenario, and then we're going to break down the results. So we have a full understanding of where the numbers came from, how you can adjust them and manipulate them along the way, and influence the end result. So meaning you'll get a really good grasp of not only how much you need to earn in order to purchase in Coppell, but you're also going to see how different variables affect that end goal of purchasing a home in Coppell. We're going to talk about the down payment. We're going to talk about the types of loans. We're going to talk about the interest rates, property taxes, insurance rates, and everything in between. So if you find value in this breakdown, then let me know that you're here by commenting Coppell down in the comment section down below. I want to make sure that we don't lose the plot. So let's get into this really quickly. Let's get into the first part of our scenario. So down payment. Now, the down payment is something that if you're going to get a loan, you're going to most likely be asked to have a form of down payment. Now, some exceptions. If you, again, we're talking about loans. If you're buying cash, think of it as all being down payment because you're paying all of it in cash. Now, if you're getting a loan from the bank, then we're talking about getting a down payment. Now, Again, there's really two types of loans that you don't really need a down payment on. One is what's called a VA loan. So if you served in the military in some respect, then you have access to a VA loan, which means 0% down options for you. So that has to do with you serving. That has to do with you as a person. Another type of loan, again, we're talking about loan products. Another type of loan that doesn't require money down is what's called a USDA loan. Now, this is property dependent. This does not depend on you as an individual. You don't have to do something or not do something in order to qualify for this. It has to do where that property is located. And most of the time, it's in rural areas. So that's a USDA loan, a United States Department of Agriculture loan. So it has to do where the property is located. Now, with Coppell, don't count on that. Do not count on the USDA zoned areas. That just does not exist. So just want to make that clear and don't want to give false expectations. That's why we go city by city in the DFW Metroplex, because there's over 80 cities in the DFW Metroplex. And each one of them operates differently, specifically with property tax rates, which we're going to get into in a couple of seconds. Now, the two primary types of loans that we're talking about, for the most part, the two most common types of loans is what's called a FHA loan and a conventional loan. An FHA loan, your minimum down is going to be 3.5%. That is the minimum that you need in terms of hard cash to get into this loan. This is not factoring in additional closing costs, which we'll get into later, but this is just down payment. This goes directly into your ownership stake in the property, FHA. So minimum 3.5% down. Now, a conventional loan, the minimum there is a 3% down. Again, this is down payment. This goes directly into your equity, directly into your ownership stake into that property. So those are two big differences. Now, generally, FHA loans are going to cost a little bit more from a fees perspective. Generally, FHA loans are easier to get into because there's lower credit requirements. So there, it's a financial product, a financial instrument, a financial loan that's a little bit easier to get into. Long term, it's going to cost you more, and it doesn't have as much flexibility as a conventional. A conventional, generally, we're generalizing, generally is going to cost you less in percentage and in fees, along with it's going to allow you to. It's going to generally require you to have a healthier credit score. So those are two. There's other details, but for our purposes today, just want to get you on a good level set understanding what we're even talking about when we say down payment. For our purposes today, we're going to put 5% down. Why? It's a round number. That's it. You can go up, you can go down, you can go to the minimums if you so choose, but I just want to go with 5% down. Now, the last thing I'll have to say about down payment, because it comes up in all the comment sections, it comes up with a lot of the clients that we speak with, and it's that 20% down. There's a 20% down myth that you need 20% down to purchase a home, just to purchase a home. And that is not true. That is something that I used to believe this long before I got into real estate. And even when I got into real estate, it took me a while to get adjusted to the fact that I don't need 20% down to purchase a home. What 20% down, where that little benchmark comes into play, is if you were to put 20% down into the purchase of your property, then you would avoid what's called mortgage insurance. This is an additional premium or additional fee or additional percentage that you are paying, or portion of a percentage, is not an entire percentage point. An additional, just call it fee, that you would be paying every single month. So the reason being is the bank, if you put anything less than 20%, regardless if it's an FHA loan or a conventional loan, if you put anything less than 20% down, then the bank doesn't see you as having enough equity stake into that purchase of the home. They see you putting 5% down on that property, and now they're the ones that are out 95% of that of the value of that home. So they're the ones that are taking on the bulk of the risk. So for them to insulate themselves from that risk, in addition to the percentage that they're already charging you, they add an additional amount, which you'll see the exact rate here shortly. So as to, in the event that you default, in the event that you can't pay back that loan, they've collected some additional income from you right out of the gate. That's where that 20% came from. Now on the conventional side, we talked about options and flexibility. On the conventional side, even if you do 5% down on the conventional and 5% on the FHA, as soon as you get to that 20% threshold, meaning you paid monthly, and then after about 7 to 8 years, you have paid enough to become 20% equity owner in your property. Actually, it's 8 to 9 years. Once that 20% threshold is gone, or you've met that 20% threshold, you own over 20% of your home, then that mortgage insurance goes away. On an FHA loan, that does not go away. So those are two big distinct differences. All right, let's continue. Interest rate. Interest rate is something that's going to change every single day. So the easiest thing for you to do, again, this is linked down below. So check out the link down below. It has buyer tools, I believe is what it's called, or buyer calculator tools. So make sure that you check them out. Interest rate is something that's going to change daily. So the easiest thing for you to do is going to go to mortgage rate today. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to just ballpark things. We're going to say that we have a $700,000 loan. We're going to put 5% down. We are in Texas, and we're going to say it's a reasonable credit score. So we're not going to make it an excellent credit score. We're going to make it a sound credit score of 720. So the interest rate today, right now on average, for the day that I'm recording this, as you see here, where the numbers have been going over here recently, you've been seeing a rise, and that has been happening here because of the actions that have been taken or not been taken by the Fed. Or there's some other nuances there, but let's not get any further into that. All right, so we're going to put 7.55%. That's the number that we're going to work with today. One second. Okay. Now I want to show you the differences on how important credit score can be. So if you max it out, the credit score, if you're like above an 800 credit score, you see that you're saving yourself 0.2% interest rate from having a pristine credit score, which is huge, right? It's a huge swing. It amounts to thousands upon thousands of dollars. So if anything else, that serves as motivation to try to clean up your credit score if it needs a little bit of improvement. All right, so how long is your mortgage? Most of the mortgages are about 30 years. Now, there are some products that are 40 years now. There are some products that there's been products about 15 years, 20 years, but for the most part, most folks end up going with 30 years. Property tax rate. This is really where I want you to, kick everybody out of the room. If they're distracting you, this is where I want you to go press pause on this video and go put your kid to sleep or do something else. Like, this is where I want your undivided attention, because property tax rates are serious business, especially in Coppell. And I don't just say this because it's Coppell. Like, I have a really good grasp on Coppell, just period, because of how church is there, all that fun stuff is there. But because Coppell is actually one of the highest tax in terms of revenue, the highest property tax is in the DFW Metroplex. So the amount of capital, the amount of property taxes that gets pulled out of Coppell residents is high, and it's one of the highest in the entire DFW Metroplex. You would think that it was South Lake. You would think that it was Highland Park. You would think that it was Frisco. You would think that it was Westlake. But no. It is Coppell, the one you need to look out for, because property tax rates get a little bit wonky. And we're going to go through them today, and I don't want to scare you. I love Coppell. But at the same time, I recognize that with property taxes, they change in all the DFW Metroplex cities. So with Coppell, you really need to look at it. So let's start framing the conversation. Property tax rates, what are they? Well, property taxes are something that you're going to pay on your home every single year. How much? Well, that varies on the assessed value of your home, how much the county deems your property to be worth in their eyes, the assessed value, what they assess your property to be. They don't necessarily give you the market value because they're not purchasing it from you. Market value is what your, once you put that yard for sale sign on the yard, that's the market value is what the market value is going to be essentially determined by how much is somebody is willing to give you to purchase that home. So anyway, you have that assessed value times your property tax rate. So property taxes in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, for the most part, are comprised of 5 components. 3 of them are mandatory. Does not matter what city you live in the DFW Metroplex, you're paying for these 3. One is going to be the city part, so the city tax, the county tax, and the ISD tax. Those are 3 components. Doesn't matter what part of the DFW Metroplex you're in, you're paying for those 3. The 2 additional tax, sometimes you're going to pay one of them. Sometimes you're going to pay both of them as well. So for some cities that you're in, you're going to be paying all 5. So let's do a quick recap before I reveal the other 2. You have your city, your county, your ISD, and then some of you are going to have the hospital network. So hospital, whether it's just your hospital part, your hospital rate, if you will, and then the higher education. So think of community college, things like that. So those are 5 components that you're going to potentially have in the DFW Metroplex. So what we're going to do, and technically I have to add in water, but not every city, it's rare that you add that in. Anyway, let's get into this. What we're going to do is Coppell Texas property tax rate. I'm going straight to Google, trying to get it from the source. Ideally, I want you to get it directly from the city itself because property tax rates change. There are some aggregators out there that have some stated rates, but very rarely is it added up, and oftentimes it's wrong because they fail to add in all of the rates that get added. So again, I want you to get to their actual website, to the city's website, to get meaningful information. So property tax rate, I'm going to click on that. And what you're going to often find is that they are challenging to find. Make no bones about it. They are challenging to find. All right. The PDF is not going to help us. Okay, I don't want to go. I can't search based off of property addresses because YouTube's going to take those down. It's going to see it as doxing. So we're not going to be doing that. What we're going to be doing, unfortunately, so again, not all cities do a really good job. Coppell's one of them of disclosing property tax rates, the property amount. Well, I see the PDF. Maybe the PDF might have it. It's rare that it does. It just goes into a bunch of big numbers that they have. Oh, 200. That's gonna. Is there a search? Oof. Okay, so 0.4. All right, so 0.49 adopted. So we're gonna say 0.49. I got to get out of here because this PDF typically doesn't play. PDFs generally don't play well with my streaming software. All right, so 0.49. That's fine. Let's go back. Let's try to find. I don't want to do it, but we're probably gonna have to. Let's see, Coppell. Okay, so here you see the discrepancy already. Okay, no, it added. Okay, 0.49. All right, so let's break it down. We're going to find it the manual way, not directly from the city, which I don't like doing, but we can, so we're going to do it. It's a good learning lesson. Let's go back to our 5 things. City, county, ISD, hospital network, and higher education. For our purposes today, I'm going to add all of them. I'm going to add all of them in here because depending on where you are, it would make sense. So let's see. Let me check one quick thing. Let me check one quick thing. All right. That's what we needed. Okay, so we have our city. Now what we need to do is we add our county. So county is going to be Dallas County. So we have, what was it, 0.49. We need to add the Dallas County portion. You can't see that, can you? We're going to add this part. So it was 0.49 plus this, so it's going to be 0.7. So remember that, 0.7. Now what we're going to add is the ISD. So Coppell is going to be Coppell ISD. So we're going to go down here, and the ISD is going to have the highest percentage of your property taxes. That's where the bulk of your taxes actually go. So you're going to see 1.0535. So all right, so we're carrying the city, we're carrying the county, we're adding the ISD, so we're adding this in. So we're at now 1.75%. I know this is tedious, folks. I really do. Trust me, I don't like doing property taxes as much as the next person. But if I'm going to serve you the way that I want to serve you, if I want to help you the way that I want to help you, we really have to get into the property taxes. There's a reason that when you type into Google or onto YouTube right now, property taxes here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, there's a reason that 5 of my videos show up. I really, really, really care about property taxes. Not because I care about them, but because I like saving people money. And property taxes is the easiest way to do that. All right, so 1.75% now. So we've satisfied 3, city, county, ISD. We're done with that. Now here we go. We need to add, let me rephrase that. The hospital network and the higher education, I am going to add them here, where hopefully it's a surprise that you don't need to add both. Hopefully that's my desire for you. But just so you know where the numbers come from, just so you have that understanding, I am going to add them here just out of precaution. Depending on where you buy the city, your home, you might not need to add in the higher education one. You might not need to add the hospital network one. I hate to break it to you, most likely you will, but hopefully, lift up your prayers and maybe it works for you. But anyway, so we have 1.75 carried over. Now we're going to add the Dallas College one. So the community college one, 0.11, and we're going to also add in the Parkland one. So we are adding essentially 0.32. So that's going to make it 2.02. 2.02 is not that bad. That is good. They've done a lot of, they've improved a ton when it comes to property taxes. They've improved a ton. There's actually on the lower end, when you're looking at the percentage side, it's actually one of the lower ones in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So right now you're looking at 2.02. Before I forget, I'm going to write this down. 202. So that's how you write it down. I know you're technically supposed to put 2.02, but the way that we have this calculator, which this calculator, by the way, is linked down below. It was created by Kyle Seagrace, Win the House You Love, or the channel that Win the House You Love. So make sure that you go and check out his YouTube channel as well. Property tax rate, 2.02. Now, there's some cities in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex that have 2.5%, 2.8%, 2.6%. Even outside, we're looking at investment property right now with my brother. We're looking at an investment property out here in Venice. Actually, I should be quiet until I purchase this one. Forget I said that city. In that area, the South DFW Metroplex, and even though it's outside of the Metroplex by a considerable amount, their interest rate right now is 2.46%. Now that's something we have to budget into our investment calculator as well. So again, when it comes to percentage rates, that's something you need to look at all across the DFW Metroplex, because a 2.46% every single year is significantly different than a 2.02% every single year, especially if you're talking of a home of $676,000. Food for thought. Property taxes, we have the answer. I'm going to X out of that. I know I went into a 20-minute just soapbox of property taxes, but remember, property taxes, you're paying on those every single year that you own this property. Now, there's ways to reduce your property tax liability. One is by applying what's called a homestead exemption that reduces your assessed value, not your market value. Market value is going to always exist. Assessed value is in the eyes of the county saying, hey, this property is worth this amount. Now, once you apply the homestead exemption, it reduces that. Now, I have the highest ranking videos on homestead exemption right now on YouTube, so make sure you check that out on the YouTube channel. That's actually on my other YouTube channel, not this one. So if you're looking for it here, you're not going to find it on this particular YouTube channel. Apply your homestead exemption, and also you need to protest your property taxes every single year. Even if you know you're going to lose, protest. Protest, protest, protest. Protest your property taxes so you can have a lower property tax bill. Insurance rate. This is essentially your homeowner's insurance. If you have a loan on a property, so if the bank lent you some money, you better believe that you better have homeowner's insurance. If you do not have it, trust that the bank will find that you don't have it, and they're going to buy it for you. It's not going to be a very favorable rate for you. So you either buy it yourself and get that, get to shop it out because you're going to be paying for it. Either way, you're paying for it. But you get to shop it out and you insure yourself, you pay the least amount in premiums, or the bank, again, they're going to find that you don't have it. And after you close, if you think like, hey, I'm just not going to pay it, well, don't trust on that staying that way that long, because they will find you and they will force you to pay that homeowner's insurance, or they're just going to call that loan and good luck. All right, so anyway, we're going to put a 0.75% on the entire value of the home. That seems to be a good number when it comes to the premium that you're going to be paying per month. So don't really touch that one. I actually am tempted to put 0.8% because of the premiums going up so high, but we're going to leave it at that for now. Coppell, you are looking at some HOA fees. That's something that's going to happen. Now, not all homes in Coppell are in HOAs, but for the most part, if you're going to purchase in Coppell, go ahead and budget in some HOA fees per year, because you're going to be paying them most likely in the neighborhood that you purchase. So $500 a year, that's a reasonable amount for Coppell. And then yearly income. This is where we get into inputting your personal data. Up here, this is just general market data. You're kind of putting in what you're expecting or what is happening on the market right now. Now, this is more about you, what you're bringing to the table outside of the down payment. How much do you make per year? So you can start making that analysis of how much you need to earn in order to purchase. So remember, we're trying to hit $676,000 right now. That's the number that we're trying to hit. So what we're going to do is we're going to say we make $125,000. We're going to use that as our starting point. All right, so we make $125,000 a year. Now below, we're going to need you to put your debt. Again, this is linked down below, so make sure you check that out. Your debt, car loans, student loans, credit cards, child support, whatever is debt, you need to add it here, because this is what's going to serve this is what's going to actually produce the calculation. This is factoring into your debt to income ratio, how much you earn, how much debt responsibility you have versus how much income you're bringing in. And there's a certain ratio that you need to hit if you're going to qualify for a certain amount of loan, which you're going to see the breakdown shortly. Now, what is in debt? Your rent, your groceries. These are expenses. These are things that you're doing regardless. Now, just for clarity, name the debt. This is going to be yours to use and all that fun stuff. So make sure that you have it. And then the amount. That way you have a really good way for you to track this. Now, if somebody else is going to borrow with you, go ahead and put their income there, your debt, and then the minimum monthly payment. Now, every bank is different. Some banks will allow you to do 3 co-borrowers or 3 total people in the loan, 4 people total in the loan. There's no law that keeps you from adding 100 people to the loan. There's going to be banks that prohibit that, but there's no law that says, hey, you can't use 10 people, but there's not going to be a bank that lets you do 10 people. For the most part, 3 co-signers, 4 co-signers, up to that. You're going to find a bank that will help you or allow you to do that. All right, so now that we have our inputs in, what we're going to do is we're going to go to that third tab. Again, this calculator is courtesy of Win the House You Love by Kyle Seagrace, so make sure you check out his YouTube channel. But let me center this because my camera is generally going to block out some numbers, so I want to make sure I don't do that here. All right, that's enough. All right, so before I go into the breakdown up here, I want to show you what we're even talking about. So this pairs what you input plus the market information plus a bit of risk, it takes in the risk components, it takes in your risk tolerance. Think of it that way. So this lets you know how much you can purchase, the amount of the value of the home that you can purchase. Essentially, what's the max price that you can purchase? Oftentimes we know what our debt is. We also know how much we're making, but we don't know, hey, how much would the bank qualify me for? Could I even qualify for a $500,000 home, a $200,000 home, $1 million home? What would that look like? This gives you that breakdown, but it breaks it down even further. It gives you more of the risk assessment. So it essentially says, on the safe max price, you can purchase a home of $270,000. Your monthly payment is going to be this, and that's going to be 33% of your net income. That is what we would call a safe loan, if you will, or a safe purchase price. You're not overextending yourself. It's 33% of your net income. Now, could you qualify for more? Heck yes. We're giving you the exact breakdowns, but this way, again, you kind of see where you fall in. Now, conservative, this is really where the breakdown starts here, up here, this adjusted maximum. We shoot to conservative aside. You can of course get qualified for more. You can get qualified for 400, almost 500, 500. So you can get qualified for this, but then you're also, of course, your mortgage payment's going to go higher. And then the percentage of your net income is going to be used, more of that percentage is going to be used to satisfy the mortgage payment. Some of you might not be comfortable with that, and that's okay, right? So you might not feel comfortable paying 47% of your net income to housing, and that's okay as well. But this way you at least know, right? So, hey, is the lender is qualifying me for $400,000. I don't know if that's good or bad. Well, this gives you a little bit more of an index to analyze it against, right? Rather than just having an abstract amount. Could the lender qualify you for more? Of course they can. The lender's job is to lend. I don't blame them, right? If you say you want that $450,000 loan, $450,000 home, and the lender knows that you could technically get approved for that, they're gonna write that. Oh my gosh, they're gonna write that loan. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, so for our purposes today, what we like to do though, remember, we're trying to hit $676,000. Well, we're not there. So we're gonna play with this. We're gonna say, what if we make $150,000? Can we purchase a home of that value? Well, not quite yet. So we're getting a little bit closer. Now remember, this is that second tier. When we're looking at the quadrants, we looked at 4 quadrants. One was like $450,000. So technically we could already buy in Coppell. The second one was the one that we're working on right now, $676,000. The other one was almost close to $1 million, and then the other one was $1 million plus. This is the average price points. So we're a little bit short, so we need 676. We're gonna say, what if we made $175,000 per year? And now we're there. So I like to get our numbers. I don't like getting to the risky. The aggressive, as long as we have it in the aggressive, I consider it good. Meaning if we can hit the number of the average value that we're looking for, I consider it good. So under the aggressive one. So here, $690,000, you could approve for that. That's about a $6,500 payment. So if you make $175,000 per year, you can purchase a home in Coppell. So this is either individual income or combined income. You would be in a Good spot to purchase a home in Coppell under a 5% down payment, 7.5% interest rate, your property tax rates being that, your insurance premiums being 0.75% of the value of the home. So all of these conditions, I show them to you in real time because yours is going to be different. You might be comfortable putting 20% down. In that case, you can make less than this because you're not asking for as much of a loan, right? If the interest rates go down or when they go down, if you get a 6% loan, will you type that in and see how much more purchasing power you have? So that's why I show all of this to you in real time, but also it is linked down below. So make sure that you get this tool because it's going to make your life so much easier. You can quickly assess where you are financially. All right, so for our purposes today, this has been satisfied. We've met the goal. How much do you need to earn to purchase a home in Coppell? Technically, we're going to put $175,000. Could you make less and purchase a home in Coppell? 100% you can. I just showed you. But based off of the number that we're trying to hit of $676,000, which is that home that has that 4-bed and 3-bath, then that's where it ended up. Now, for the next portion, I want to show you what that breakdown would be. I want to show you what that $676,000 house, what that monthly payment is going to be. So don't look now. I'm gonna force change this real quick. I'm gonna say I need that top number. Since it's a conservative number, I need to adjust it slightly. So the number that I'm using right now, what I'm doing right now is just forcing this number to be close to where I need it to be. So don't look at that. That doesn't mean anything to you right now. Although if you made that amount, this is what you could actually qualify for. So if you're looking to get $1 million loan, then this is what you're looking at. But anyway, what I really wanted to show you was how the numbers break down. So this is close enough. We're going to say that this is $676,000, close enough. Your monthly mortgage payment on that, on the conditions that we talked about of this down payment, this interest rate, property taxes, interest rate, all that fun stuff, it's going to be $6,400 a month. This is going to be your down payment. So again, we're putting 5% down. Your closing cost is going to be this, roughly this amount. This goes to pay the title company, your lender fees, any associated costs to closing that loan. That's what your closing costs are going to be. Now, property and interest. I'm sorry, principal and interest. The principal is how much you borrowed. Interest is how much you are paying to borrow that. Property taxes. This is what really shocks people. $1,100 per month on property taxes alone. That is more than people's mortgages. I just have to call it, right? So property taxes really shocked me. And it was really shocking to me. I was very real estate ignorant when I first started. I mean, rightly so. I mean, I say it as a bad thing, but everybody is, right? So when I purchased my first home, which was in Castle Hills, northeast of Coppell, I didn't know anything about property taxes. I just knew how much the bank was willing to loan me. At that time, I bought for my very first house. This was 2015, something like that. Was it 2015 or so? I bought a $500,000 house. I had no earthly idea what property taxes were. It was shocking to me. Maybe that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I had no understanding what property taxes were, had no understanding that I had to pay these every single month, I thought it was a waste of money. And in some respect, I still do sometimes. But that being said, property taxes, I want you to be eyes wide open, understanding where they're coming from, how you can calculate them, and also that you're responsible for them every single year. So this is what every single month, what your what's going to be parked aside, what's going to be put into escrow, because the service or the folks that you're paying the loan off to, they're going to be putting that aside. They're investing it and receiving income off of it, but they're putting that off aside, and then every single year they're paying property taxes on your behalf. Homeowners insurance. This is the premium that you're looking at roughly. Mortgage insurance. This is that number that I mentioned to you. If you don't put 20% down on your property, then that's what you can expect to pay. on as an additional premium. In homeowners insurance, it's a minor number. We added it into monthly mortgage payment, but technically it's not added in your monthly mortgage payment. This is something that you pay directly to the HOA management company. But we like to budget in there just so you see, like, if just for budgeting purposes, if you're putting that aside, putting that aside at the beginning of the year, when you get asked to pay within 30 days of the invoice, you have that $500 or $600 or $1,000, whatever your HOA happens to be, you have it there. We just like to calculate it here in this particular dashboard, so you have, again, a good understanding of where all the numbers come from. Now, there's some additional expenses that you would need to factor in, but those are very tedious and very specific to your behavior. So if you just scroll down, you're going to see a little bit about utilities. You're going to see a little bit about information on if you're offering more or offering less on the home as you're going through negotiations. So make sure that you check that out so you have a good understanding of what's happening there. But for all intents and purposes, we've accomplished our set mission of knowing how much we need to earn in order to purchase a home in Coppell. This is linked down below, so make sure you go and check that out. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Our contact information is down below. But you can always find us at admin@jaimeresens.com. Happy to serve here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, in Texas, and across the country. We have agents all across the country at this point, so glad to support you in any way that we can. All right, well, outside of that, I'll see you on the next one, and have a good one.